Hello, Rob from Fencing Pen Journey with an everyday carry pens at work video. Now, just to fill you in, 2020 has been a pretty, dire year for many reasons, but one of the reasons that affected me and my family most was the fact that my previous employer decided to not only furlough me but then make me redundant. Yeah, thanks for that. But anyway, I managed to get my redundancy payout and a brand new job very, very shortly after it all happened. So it was really, really good. So I've now got a great new job, which I've been in for 2 weeks now. And quite honestly, going into this job, I wasn't 100% sure what to expect. So I needed to change all the everyday carry fountain pens that I have in my work pen rotation, which I carry around in my pen roll here, which was about £8 or £9 from Amazon. And I have a selection of pens and inks in here, which I will go through today. Now, this job transition excuse me, left me in a bit of a situation because I wasn't entirely sure what to expect in my new job. So I needed something that was functional, something practical, something that was inexpensive. I was also looking for something which was going to be pretty robust, so the pens that I've chosen fit all of those categories, ticks all the boxes. And I wanted some new inks to use in my new job because quite honestly I've got hundreds of inks probably, and I needed something that perhaps was a little bit more suitable. My previous job, nobody actually gave a damn what ink you used, what colour, whether it was permanent or what, and I thought, you know what, I need some inks which are perhaps a little bit more permanent, just in case, something that's, legible, professional, all the rest of it. So I went ahead and chose a whole range of Noodler's Bulletproof inks, which I put into many of these pens. So let's have a look at what I am currently packing in my everyday carry. So my pen roll, I have got in here a selection of pens. Now some of these did actually come across from my previous employer, my everyday carry pens. You may recognise some of those if you've watched my other everyday carry pens at work videos before. But there are one or two new ones, and of course the inks are all quite different. Needed a change, wanted to just fresh start, change the pens, change the inks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through each one of these pens in turn. I'll get them out off camera and write with them in my moleskin book, which I use to record all of my everyday carry pen videos. So let's start off, and I'll do these left to right. So I mean, we've got Lamy Safari, there has to be. I do like these. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with Lamy Safari and Lamy All-Star pens. It's mainly love though. I've always got one of these inked up. So without further ado, let's get into this. Right, Lamy Safari green. Nothing fancy, this is just the green version, it's not some special edition. So if you really like this sort of rather colourful green coloured Lamy Safari, then they are widely available. So let's start off with the date, which I'm having to check on my watch, the 18th. There we go. Right, 18th of July 2020. So everyday carry work pens. So the number one first pen is the Lamy Safari green. With a medium steel nib. Excuse me. Now, this ink is Organic Studio. Uranium. Now, I have found, quite honestly, this Organic Studio Uranium ink to be quite dry. It's an ink that I've tried in maybe 3 or 4 different pens, and it's never really worked too well. But in this medium nib Lamy Safari, it's actually done really, really well, and I do quite like the colour. It's not a perfect match, but I needed a green ink in a green pen, and yeah, I'm perfectly happy with this. And if you're not aware of the Lamy Safari, most people who are into fountain pens are. The Lamy Safari is a really, really good everyday carry fountain pen, and this clip, as ugly as it is, I find it slides on and off the pen roll really, really well, which I shall demonstrate here. These pen roll things can be a bit of a pain, but I mean, this is effortless. It's secure and it slides on and off really, really well. So it's a tough pen. It's plastic, so you know, I mean, it's ABS plastic, which is pretty damn tough, and it's great for in the office. So Lamy Safari #1, very happy with that one. Second pen, I debated whether to change from the Jinhao 51A for my red pen. Now, I always need a red pen at work because of the nature of my job. I always need to make comments in red because my job in health and safety, I'm now a compliance manager rather than being a health and safety manager, and this, yeah, I need red ink and you know, need red ink to scold people with. So the Jinhao 51A has been in my everyday carry work pen rotation for literally years now, pretty much since I bought it, and they're great. I should really eyedropper these pens because they're perfect for eyedroppering, but I use the cartridge, the converter that comes with the pen. But I did change the ink just for a bit of a change because I've always used Waterman Audacious Red in this pen. Wanted to clean out the pen, give it a proper flushing, and yeah, just move on. So second pen, Jinhao 51A. I will make a note that this is the standard, try and get this to focus, there we go, standard hooded fine nib, and it's perfect for really low quality paper because it's wet for a fine. It's smooth, it's wet, but it doesn't lay down so much ink that you get bleed through, so it's perfect for any sort of paper as far as I'm concerned. Now, Waterman Audacious Red, I needed a change, just fancied a change, so I moved across to Pure Pens Castell Coch. Which I have covered in other videos before. To be honest, it's a decent red, but it's a bit pinkish red. It's not as deeply saturated. Well, no, saturation is the wrong word. It's not as red as I would like. Basically, it's a good red. It does the job, but it's not bright red. It's not something that I will probably put back into this pen. I will probably change this ink at some point when it runs out and go back to either Audacious Red, Waterman Audacious Red, or perhaps even one of the Schaefer Reds, because they're really, really good quality bright red inks. Castell Coch is a nice ink, but it's too pale. It's too pale. It's not red enough, but still a useful tool for my everyday carry. Now, third pen, Charis Kustoms Render K, in, I believe this is the raw aluminium. Metal pen, designed to be an everyday carry fountain pen, tough as nails. And it is. This is my go-to pen at the moment in the office. This is really, really good. It's not massively heavy, but there is enough weight to it for a metal pen. It's very industrial in its design. You can see that it's got this slightly tapered barrel here. I mean, the screws up here on the clip, I mean, that sort of, you know, this knurled thing up here, would have been nice if the screws were actually straight on the clip, but you know, yeah, that's gonna bug the OCD out of me. But it's a good metal fountain pen, and this has got one of the smoothest uncapping mechanisms, uncapping mechanisms that I've ever come across. Really, really smooth. It seals well. It doesn't shake loose or anything. No drying out issues, but it's just, the threads are so smooth for a metal pen. I've not applied any grease or anything. There's nothing on there. It's just a really, really smooth uncapping mechanism. Now, I have noticed that I am getting hard starts with this pen. I don't believe it's the pen. I actually believe it's the combination of this nib and the ink, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is the Charis Kustoms Render K in raw aluminium. Raw aluminium. With this one has got a medium steel nib, and this ink is Noodler's Heart of Darkness. And I have, in all honesty, been really impressed with this ink. It is a very black. The bottle is quite large. It's also difficult to access because it comes with an eyedropper as a cap. So you've got this narrow orifice, really tall, big bottle, narrow orifice. It's not the most fountain pen friendly filling bottle, so it's one of those things that when the ink starts to get low, I'm going to have to start to decant that into another container, another empty ink bottle or something, to be able to fill fountain pens from it. But it's great. I love the ink. It's really, really good. It's a bulletproof ink, so there is some water resistance. I am going to talk a bit about the other Noodler's inks and why I chose those, but there is more to it than that. There is a bit more of the story to hear, so do continue watching and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this pen, really, really good. I will be doing a review of this in due course, and I also have other Charis Kustoms Render K or K, whatever. They seem to be coming under different names at different places, but these pens are really, really good. I am obviously using the included converter with this pen, and it's great. I often take this to meetings because it just looks the part. It's not overstated, it's not flashy, and it's something that I can clip onto my, you know, lanyard at work, carry around. Doesn't matter if it's sort of bouncing around against things, it's not going to damage. So yeah, really, really good quality, well-made fountain pens. So my first experience of Charis Kustoms fountain pens, and I am very, very impressed. So I'll pop that to one side. And the next pen, this is a carryover. There was just too much ink in it to really just clean out. I just thought, nah, I'll just carry on using that. But as you can see, I've had some burping issues. This is the Moonman M2 eyedroppered, and it's got a fine nib, and as you can see in the cap, we have got ink splashing around, burping in there, but as long as I'm not getting it all over my fingers, not too much of an issue. So number 4, Moonman M2, which is, in my view, a really great everyday carry, cheap, affordable eyedropper, and it holds a really, really decent ink capacity. And you know, what more do you want? Really good ink capacity. The fine nib, it's a fine nib. It's useful for writing on really absorbent paper, and this is where I've kind of gone a little bit wrong with my Noodler's inks and the choice of pens, because this is in many ways the pen to go for if I've got something to write down on really absorbent, horrible, cheap office paper, which most of us unfortunately have to endure in our work. And this ink is Diamine Teal, and yeah, it's a good workhorse ink. For a teal ink, it's dark, it's saturated, it's not too flashy. For a teal ink, for my personal preference, it's not flashy enough, it's not colourful enough, but it does the job. And this is a good pen. These are really, really good pens. I have reviewed almost all of these pens, but there are some which I haven't reviewed. So do please hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the notifications, and make sure you subscribe to all, because otherwise, you know, you're gonna miss them, because YouTube very often picks and chooses what it thinks you want to watch, and I've missed all sorts of really good videos from channels that I subscribe to because I haven't hit the subscribe to all notifications bell, which is a bit annoying. You have to go back and you find something that somebody's done months ago, which you would have really enjoyed watching at the time. Another carryover fountain pen, simply because too much ink in it to really waste, and yeah, it's a good everyday writer. TWSBI Eco. Now, this has been in my everyday carry for work for 2 years now, and keep inking it up with the same ink, and I love it. It's good. If I'm not going to carry the Charis Kustoms Render K into a meeting or something, then this is the pen that I do carry in there. And I love the TWSBI Eco. Really good fountain pens, very reliable, no hard starts even after months of non-use, which if you've already subscribed to my video, you probably saw my fountain pens lockdown effect video. I'll put a link down below, because that covered the fountain pens that I had used in my previous employment, and there were some quite interesting observations from it, and I do recommend that you do watch that, because it shows you exactly which pens and inks dried up over time and which ones surprisingly didn't. So really, really interesting to do that little experiment. So the TWSBI Eco with a medium steel nib, and this is Aurora. I'll make a mess of this. Aurora und Klinkner. Leipzig Black, Leipzig Schwarz, if you want the full German name. And this is one of my favourite black inks. I really, really like it. It's got a hint of blue to it. It's a good, well-behaved black ink. Not overly difficult to clean out of fountain pens, but it's a very, very, very good black. And if you can see, I mean, yeah, you look down there, it's a good black ink, but Heart of Darkness is much, much blacker, much darker. try and show you. There is a bit of feathering with Noodlers, and not so much with the Iraurita Klinkner Leipzig Black. So this is where I'm going to get into some of the issues that I've had with some of the inks that I've chosen, and certainly some of the nibs, pens, if you like. I was unprepared for the very, very low quality of the paper that we use in the office in my new job. It's like shockingly cheap. It's so absorbent, and I mean, I picked up a notebook in the office similar to this, sort of similar sort of paper really. This is moleskin, which is not a favourite paper of mine. It tends to be absorbent and you do get bleed through. We'll see if we get any at the end of this video. But the paper in these notebooks at work it's like shockingly absorbent, so I'm getting feathering, I'm getting bleed through, I'm getting show through. Really bad bleed through though, really, really bad. So it's like one side of a page, that's it, tear it out, move on to the next one. So you know, that is an issue, but I am using Noodler's inks in my pens, which are bulletproof, because I did expect that I might have to be perhaps outdoors a little bit more, which is why I've chosen metal pens. You'll be seeing a few more metal pens shortly. And I know Noodler's inks can be a little bit on the temperamental side. They're not everybody's taste, they're not everybody's favourite inks, but I do like them. I like the colours, and I like the fact that these bulletproof inks do have some water resistance, which is more than can be said for quite a lot of the fountain pen inks, such as, you know, Diamine inks, Diamine, and yeah, it's one of those things. I had to make a choice, and I thought, you know what, I'll get some new inks for my new job and put them in different pens, or new pens. So going on to the next pen. Yet another carryover. Spenser No Nonsense, which I absolutely love. Vintage pen, really affordable, quite easily available, and you can get a whole range of different nib sizes in the Spenser No Nonsense, and the nibs are interchangeable, and you can swap out the sections and things. So I'm really happy with these. So Spenser No Nonsense. And this has got a medium steel nib again, and this is the Spenser No Nonsense I was using in my previous employment, but I cleaned out the cartridge, refilled it. What did I refill it with? Well, another Noodler's ink, and this is Prime of the Commons. Which is a very workmanlike, very professional looking, bulletproof, and therefore somewhat waterproof, blue black. It is more of a blue than a black, if that's your bag, and you will notice that there is just a bit of feathering on there. But Spenser No Nonsense, classic pen. I love the style of it, love the design, and they're so reliable. Really, really good pens. Next pen, another carryover. You must recognise this. It's the Jinhao 159. I always want to call it the 149 because it is so similar to the Mont Blanc 149. This is the Jinhao 159. I've probably got that the wrong way around now. 149. I'll put the correct terminology in the description down below. This pen was the one that I showed you in my lockdown effect on fountain pens video, with all the crusties all over the nib from the ink. So this pen needed a damn good cleaning, and it did actually take me quite a long time to clean out all the gunk from the nib and the feed. But I'm very happy to have this back in my pen rotation again. I'm sure it's 159. Medium nib, and I didn't want to change the ink, so I cleaned it out and went back to the same ink, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favourite orange inks. Diamine Sunset, which is weirdly, I don't even know if it's the same ink. This is what it's called in the UK. When you purchase it, you've got Diamine Sunset on the bottle, on the label, and yet you do also seem to see Diamine Sunset Orange. So I'm guessing it's the same ink. Really nice, well saturated, good coloured orange fountain pen ink. Now I've got 3 pens to go, and they're these little things. I love Kaweco Sports. These are not those. I also love the Delight Classic Alpha. These are not those either. So what are they? Well, these are the generic brass pocket pens that you can find on eBay, AliExpress, Alibaba, all the Chinese websites. You can even find them on Amazon, and basically they call them all sorts of names. The brass pocket pens, brass pocket hot fountain pen thing, all sorts of weird names, and I am going to do a full review of these because they are available in different colours and finishes, and there are some good things to say about them and some bad things. And what I'm going to do, because I don't want to turn this into a stupidly long everyday carry fountain pens at work video and then move into a review of these 3 pens, I'll do a separate review. So once again, please hit the subscribe button to find out when I talk about the actually do the review and upload that ready for your viewing pleasure, because these are funny little things. I mean, they're incredibly cheap, as long as you find the most affordable ones. I mean, I've seen these at silly prices, which you can pay, but they are pretty good writers. So I'm not going to post them because it's just easier to do it this way. So pen number 8, I'm just going to call this brass pocket pen. Just make sure it's done up. Medium nib, and this nice purple ink, which in my honest opinion is very similar in colour to Colourverse Delicious Sleep. It's this sort of muted purpley dark lavender colour, and this is another Noodler's ink, another Noodler's Bulletproof ink, Noodler's Socrates. And I think it's a really good purple, and it's quite well behaved compared to some of the other ones. This Noodler's Socrates is a nicely coloured ink, not in your face like you would get with some of the other purple inks. So it's actually quite a good ink, and it's bulletproof. So you know, it's ticking quite a few boxes for me right now. You want to call it Socrates, or you could call it Socrates, because I see that Bill and Ted have got another video out in August, I believe, 2020, which I couldn't believe it because of my new job. I deal with all sorts of things working in a shopping centre, and I saw the cinema listing, events in August, Bill and Ted Face the Music. That's not Bill and Ted. That can't be Bill and Ted from the late 80s, early 90s. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I checked it out. Yes, it is. Keanu Reeves and the other guy. God, they've got older, and they've done another Bill and Ted's film. So, if you remember and love the Bill and Ted's film, Socrates. It wasn't Socrates, it was Socrates. Anyway, going completely off piece there. So, Noodler's Socrates in this brass pocket pen, and this is the shiny brass version, which is, I believe, to be lacquered. I'll cover these three brass pocket pens in a different review though. So the next one of those is the unpolished brass version, which I do quite like. I think this is called gold. I suppose it is gold. It looks gold. It's not the same coloured brass, but all metal pens. So this is raw brass pen. I'll just make a note of the fact that this could be gold, the gold version. Oops, here. I shall move on to the next page. Right, so can we see bleed through? Yes, we absolutely can. So we're getting bleed through from the Organic Studio and bleed through from the Noodler's Prime of the Commons, and a little bit of bleed through from Noodler's Socrates. But this is a moleskin journal, and moleskin paper, in my opinion, is awful. I just use this because it is what it is. It does the job. It's nice enough to write on, but it's not great fountain pen friendly paper. So I'll post this one, and as you can see, the clip slides up and down. So what pen is this? Pen number 9. Notice the nib creep. This isn't a two-tone nib, this is nib creep. So what did I call this? These things, brass pocket pen. I'll call this brass, because it is a pocket pen. Medium nib again, medium steel nib, and oh dear, what's this? This is Noodler's 54th Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Oh, making a right hand. I'll cross that out and do it again. That's terrible. Massachusetts. Which is a sort of dark teal, another bulletproof ink. Is it similar to Diamine Teal? No, absolutely not. Diamine Teal right there is much more of a green teal. This is more of a blue teal. Nice dark blue teal. So I really do quite like that colour. And I'll move on to the 10th pen now, which is the silver version of this brass pocket pen, which I have had issues with, which I will cover in my review. So do watch out for that. Oops, don't know whether that was a skip or a hard start there. Silver pocket pen. Now interestingly, this is a medium nib as well, supposedly, but it feels more like a fine. And this ink is the infamous Noodler's Baystate Blue. Which is a really, really good blue ink. And to be honest, I haven't found it's terribly badly behaved, but obviously these are cheap pens and I didn't want to put Baystate Blue into anything too fancy. So this is my first experience of Baystate blue, and quite honestly, I am impressed, but is it the brightest blue that I was imagining? In all honesty, no, not really, because for about 3 years now I've been using Diamine Sapphire blue, which is very, very similar in colour, but it's better behaved. It's easier to clean, it doesn't stain things like Baystate blue apparently does. However, Baystate blue is a bulletproof ink, so that is why I chose this as a good opportunity to start using Baystate blue. So there we have it. Everyday carry, pens at work video. That's what I'm currently using. I'll see how it goes with these Noodler inks, because I am having to go with inks that are suitable for writing on really bad quality paper. So if it turns out that I'm just not going to be able to write on both sides of a form, for example, and that's annoying the crap out of people basically, I'm going to have to start thinking about using perhaps fine nibs and maybe some other inks. But for the time being, I'm really happy with my pen and ink choices. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.